So, a very good morning to all of my dear students who have joined here. So, as a standard practice in my class, what we do is we try to keep the class as much interactive as possible. So, for that purpose, I would ask you if at all if it is possible from your end, you can keep your cameras on, or you can constantly keep interacting with me on the chat box so that we both don't feel tired or you know you tend to get bored in online classes, so we don't want that. So we want to keep this session as interesting as possible. First of all, let me start by telling you uh, you know that you have done a great job by choosing CFA to as your career choice. CFA, as we know, comes in three levels, and I'm sure that in one of the introduction classes or the research that you've done in the past, you have done some kind of analysis on how good this course is, what is your future prospect, etc., etc. Now, CFA has three levels, we know that, and in the level one, we have 10 topics. Out of that one topic, what we have is economics, and economics as a topic is it's very I could say that it is a mix and match of micro and macroeconomics which we have in this particular segment. Now I'd like to ask you the question, how many of you have background with economics? You have studied economics in your degree or 12th, or any of the courses that you've done, previous courses that you've taken, you have learned economics already. So can you in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and you can tell me where did you study economics? Okay. Some people have studied that in CA Inter, very good. Some people have studied CA Foundation, and someone is saying no, they have not studied economics. Okay. So we have, there are people who have studied it mostly in CA course, and then they are coming to this. Now, you might ask me a question as to the economics that you have already studied, or you're not. If you're not studied, don't worry about it, because we have this habit at Indigo Learn. You do it so that it is less of a strategy, more of our faculty habit, that whenever we teach something, we go to the deep down and we start from step one. That is our whether you know it, whether you don't know it, we make sure that you know it all together. At the end of the day, you will have the complete knowledge on the subject. So here, if at all you have learned economics already and you know the parts of micro and macroeconomics which are given in CA syllabus or any other syllabus, probably you will find to catch up with these topics a little bit easier. Okay. I wouldn't say completely easier, but a little bit easier. The reasons are many, and let me just explain the context of economics in CFA level 1 first, so that we will have a proper outline as to what we have to study and how much importance we have to give to this. Right. Now, economics as a topic in CFA level 1 constitutes around 8 to 12% of the total weightage. 8 to 12% of the total weightage. Now, when I say 8 to 12% of the total weightage, if you convert that into number of questions will be, let us say, around 14 to 22 questions, MCQs, right? Now, for this particular, 14 to 22 questions, what we have to study? Okay, so let us discuss that according to what CFA Institute has told us. Okay, and then I'll go back and I'll tell you what are the additional things that we have to learn in order to learn the things that CFA Institute has mentioned. Now, that is a bit of a stretch. So let me start with that now. I can divide the economics in CFA level 1 into three different parts. Okay, I will divide that into first microeconomics. Okay, then I will write macroeconomics. Then I will write, there is something called as international affairs. International affairs. Now we are going to learn the CFA level 1 economics of level 1 of CFA economics in three different parts. It is micro, is macro, and then there are international affairs and some other related topics. Now, think of it very carefully. When we talk about microeconomics and when we talk about macroeconomics. Okay. Macroeconomics is the one which is usually used in financial analysis or any of the work profiles that you will be going for after your CFA. Okay, mostly it will be macroeconomics. But then the question comes, why are we even learning macroeconomics? Because you can see macroeconomics only in level 1. Okay, in level 2 and level 3 there is only macroeconomics. Okay, somehow they felt it important that you have to teach microeconomics at one point in CFA, and that point they have chosen it to be level 1. Okay, where you will have to study some extra topics other than the macroeconomic topics which you'll be learning in the next level or even in the further discussion to this particular topic. Now if you look at the okay, let us go ahead and let us see some of the learning objectives which have been mentioned by CFA Institute, so that we will have some kind of an idea as to, after learning all these topics, what are they expecting out of you. Okay, so let me just go back and let me open it. Okay, this is given by the CFA Institute itself, so we can just have a look at it. Okay, what are the learning outcomes after learning economics, what you should be able to do. Okay, now I'll start with the first topic in economics, that is topics in demand and supply analysis. Once the candidate studies this, he should be able to calculate and interpret price, income, and cross price elasticities of demand, and describe factors that affect these each measures. Okay, and then there is compare substitution and income effect, contrast normal goods with inferior goods, describe the phenomenon of diminishing marginal returns, determine and interpret break-even and shutdown points of production, describe how economies of scale and diseconomies of scale affect costs. Now, as far as the CFA Institute and their topic about economics is concerned, the first and foremost thing that you have to notice, I have to notice, and everybody should notice is that they have used the word calculate only once. Okay, and that too only for the first topic where elasticity of demand is involved. Now, don't worry when I'm using such words such as elasticity of demand. If at all you don't have background in economics at all, you might be thinking, what is elasticity? Don't worry about it. I'm going to take you through step by step from the beginning. No worries. Now, I just want you to observe and listen to what I'm saying so that you have an idea as to what they're expecting out of you. So here, calculate is used only once, and after that, it is only describe, compare, contrast, determine. Right now, those kind of words they are used, which means the economics that you will learn in CFA level 1 is going to be more of application based. Okay, and calculation is going to be there. It's not going to be completely absent from your topic. It is going to be there, but the weightage will be lesser, whereas on application the weightage will be more. So this is an important thing that we have to notice right in the beginning. So first, what do we have? We have something called as demand and supply analysis. Then we have the firm and market structure. Okay, then we have something called as aggregate output prices and economic growth. Then we have something called as business cycles. Then we have monetary and fiscal policy. Then we have geopolitics, in that we have certain a relationship between the countries and what are the various strategies, be it price or competition, that we are going to learn out of geopolitics point of view. That is also being put. It's a very, very interesting topic, to be honest. And then there is international trade and capital flows such as FDI. You might have heard about it, and there are theories of international trade, and we are going to learn that. And then there is currency exchange rate, that is also available. So if you look at it very carefully, let me just dissect this. When I said that you will be learning microeconomics as well as macroeconomics, so let me just tell you which part of it is forming part of microeconomics and which of it is macroeconomics. So first we have topics in demand and supply analysis. Now this is microeconomics part of it. Again, the firm and market structure is microeconomics part. Okay, then we have aggregate output price and economic growth. We know it is macro. Okay, then we have understanding business cycle, which is again macro. Okay. Then we have something called as monetary and fiscal policy, okay, which is again macro. And then we have geopolitics and international trade and capital flows and currency exchange rates, which does form part of macro, but we would like to call it as part of international economics or international affairs, right? So we are going to learn it in that particular segment. So as I explained you in this sheet over here, CFA level 1 has what? Three different segments: microeconomic segment, macroeconomic segment, and there is international affairs. Now, if at all you have already learned economics in your previous classes, as I have asked for earlier, then you will observe one important thing. When I go back here and open this objective and look at the first topic that we are going to learn, you'll observe something. Okay, can you tell me what do you observe here? If at all you have a previous background of economics, there is something to be seen from this. Okay, topics in demand and supply analysis, the learning outcomes that they are provided, there is something important that you have to notice. Can you tell me what is it? Anyone in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and you can tell me what is that you observe. And trust me, observing and uh, talking, taking an opportunity to talk is one of the key elements of becoming a good leader. So go ahead, write to me or talk to me so that we can keep this class very interactive, right? Anyone? I've seen a couple of cameras on now. I don't like to stretch again and again and ask you for your cooperation. You have to cooperate with me because we both have to make sure that we are not boring each other, right? Can we have a response? Anyone? I'm waiting at the chat box also. If you're not able to notice, then yes, I got one response. Okay. Internal analysis. No. That is only if you have studied economics earlier, then you'll be able to notice something very strange. Okay, with regard to demand and supply. Okay. Now, fine. So I've received 2 or 3 answers in the chat box. Now, they're like, they're not pretty accurate with regard to what I'm asking about, but still, you have made an effort and I appreciate that. Okay. Now, do you see directly when we say demand? Okay. Did CFA Institute mention anything about what is demand? Did they? Did they mention anything about what is demand in this entire learning outcomes? They did not. Did they ask you about what are the determinants of demand? They did not ask what are the determinants of demand. They did not ask you what is the function of demand. They did not ask you what is law of demand. They directly went to what? They directly went to elasticity. Okay. Now this something that you have to find very fascinating, because CFA Institute, even in their level 1, they are not going to give you the spoon feeding of the beginning topics. That is, what is demand, what are the determinants of demand, what is law of demand. They are not going to tell you. Okay, they have directly jumped in and they have said, look, this is what we are expecting out of students. We want students to know what is elasticity. We want students to know what is substitution and income effect. We want them to know what is normal goods, inferior goods, and diminishing marginal returns, break even and shutdown points, and economies and diseconomies of scale. This is what we are looking for. Okay, which means even in your examination, while you are being tested, these are the topics which are going to be important in demand and supply for you. Now, that is fine as far as a person has studied economics in the past. Okay, what if you have not studied economics in the past? Then what will you do? Okay, which means you have to go from the basics. There is no other way in which you are going to master this topic without going through the topics one by one from the beginning. Okay, so our discussion, whenever that we are going to start, right, it is going to be what? From the beginning. When I say demand, I will start from what is demand. Okay, how demand is determined, what is demand in economics, what are the determinants, what is the law, what is the demand curve, I'm going to take all these topics and then I'll come into what is elasticity, then what is substitution income effect. I'm going to start all this. Okay. So with that being said, are we ready to jump into our first topic in economics? Can I get a yes? So good. There are a couple of students who are responding to me fast. I request every student, I promise you that, at the end of this particular series of classes in economics, you will be 100% thorough with what is required. Okay. All I want from you is a bit of cooperation, a bit of, that interest that you have to take, because the subject economics in itself is always, judged as a subject which is boring, which I completely do not agree with. Okay. For reasons which are I can tell you 100 reasons why I don't agree with it, because economics is by far the most interesting topic that there is. Okay. If you approach it in the right way. Okay. So for that purpose, I will help you. I will try to give you as many practical examples as possible. So I want with full energy, everybody coming together and learning this topic. Okay. So first thing that we are going to learn is about demand. Okay. So the question comes, what is demand? Okay. Take a normal English meaning, like what is demand? Okay. Uh, it's already like what is the time right now? The time right now is 11:30, and some of you who have had breakfast early in the morning, probably you are hungry and you might be thinking about some food in your mind right now, right? I want this food. I want to eat. Okay, so let us say that you have a desire to eat. Okay, let us say masala dosa. I come from the south, I get only the references of south dishes. Okay, and it's okay. Let us say that yeah, you have desire to eat masala dosa. Now, whether your desire is demand, whether it is demand, yes or no? I desire to eat masala dosa. Does it constitute demand? Okay. What actually the English meaning of word demand is, and what is demand in terms of economics, is whole different story. Okay, you have to understand that just having a desire to eat masala dosa doesn't constitute demand. Okay, because in economics, correct. So your answer is correct. Some good answers are coming up. I appreciate that. Okay, so just having a desire doesn't make it demand. Okay, in economics, to make it demand, there are three different uh, you know ingredients, okay, which constitute demand. Okay, let me start with one by one. Okay, first there has to be a desire. Okay, desire is essentially a part of demand, so desire has to be there. Secondly, when I say I have a desire, I should have the ability to pay. Okay, when I say ability, I mean the resource. Okay, so the other day I was driving down and I saw a very nice BMW series 5 Beamer. Okay, and I thought to myself, such a wonderful car, this car is such a fast car, it's so comfortable car, so I need it. Okay, so I desired. Just because I desired that doesn't mean that I constitute a demand. Okay, probably in normal English meaning it would, but in economics it doesn't. Okay, so here what happens is I have the desire, but I do not have the ability or the resource. Okay, which means when it comes to money to buy that car, I don't have that money. Okay, secondly, let me say, okay, imagine that I am a student who is who has graduated from a college, and after graduation I worked for, like, let us say 3 to 4 years, and I collected a FD of let us say I made a FD of 15 lakh. Okay, and I've been making this 15 lakh rupees over a couple of years. Okay, and I have saved this money carefully in order to get post graduation in, let us say, Europe. Okay, I want to get a post graduation in Europe. Okay, It's a known fact that you can't get a post graduation in Europe at 15 lakh rupees, but take my word for it. Okay, take an example. Okay, so you have saved 15, and imagine that you are, like 3-4 months away from going abroad. Okay, and you walk on the street today. You're going out. Okay, at that time you saw a really good car. Let us say you saw Hyundai Verna. Okay, and you don't have a car. Okay, now in your mind you feel that, okay, I need this car. Okay, so when I say you need that car, do you have the desire? Answer is yes. Do you have resource or ability or money to pay for that car? Answer is yes, because I have 15 lakhs in my bank account. Okay, now the third question comes, whether you have willingness to use that resource. Okay, do you have willingness to use that resource? Okay, for the desire that you're currently having. So the question comes, am I ready to liquidate my 15 lakh rupees CFD, and am I ready to buy that Hyundai Verna car? The answer is no. Okay, because I saved this up for what? My PG in Europe. So here is a complete cycle of 3 points. First one is, you need to have desire, you need to have ability, and then you need to have willingness to use that resource for your desire. Okay, only when all the three things, okay, this thing, this thing, this thing, are ticked, right, then it will constitute demand in economics. Okay, it will constitute demand in economics. So tell me in the chat box, did you understand what constitutes demand? Need a yes or no answer? Okay, I'll keep asking until you give me the answer. Okay, so we have to make these classes interactive, or else in online platform what happens is the lecturer will be talking and students will be switching off their cameras and sleeping. Okay, so I don't want that happening in my class. I don't like it at all. Okay, so good amount of answers are coming that you have understood what demand is. Very good, excellent. Okay, now let us go forward from here. Let us understand a little bit more about what economics is and what are we going to learn as a base before we go and touch the topics which are mentioned in CFA level 1. Okay, so once we know what demand is, the second thing that we are going to learn is about what determines demand or what constitutes demand. Okay, when we say what determines demand, take any product for example. Okay, now you must be sitting in your room, look around. Okay, there's a table, there's a chair, there's a computer in front of you, there's your mobile phone, there are your earphones, probably you have pens, you have pencils, you have boxes, you have water bottle, right? Now you are sitting in a in a place where there are like so many hundreds of different products, and these products did not come to your house on its own. You had to buy it at one point. Okay, either you had to buy it or your parents had to buy it or somebody had to buy it at one point. Okay, and which means you raised a proper demand for those goods, and you paid for those goods, and you got it in your room. Okay, now the question I'm going to ask you is, what determines such demand? What are the determinants? Okay, what constitutes demand? Okay, what makes us demand more in terms of economics? Okay, so let us understand. Okay, we should know that demand is very closely related to, okay, it is very closely related to price. Does everybody agree? Right, demand is very closely related to price, which means the price of the commodity or service is one of the key determinant of demand. Okay. How price is one of the key commodity? Ask yourself. Okay. How many times you have visited a website because there was a big billion day sale, or Amazon Great Festival, or there was a shopper stop, 40% off, 50% off, or your favorite brand such as Adidas, Nike, right? And they have reduced their prices, or they are giving end of season sale 50%, 60% off. How many times have you gone to these websites? How many times have you gone to these shops just because the price has dropped? Okay. Do you agree that when the price had dropped, the demand for the product increases? Okay. So price in itself is one of the biggest determinant of demand. Okay. This goes without saying. Okay. Now, when I say price, I'm talking about the price of its own commodity. Okay. So if I'm, let us say, going to buy a t-shirt, and I have Nike showroom in front of me, and I actually don't need a t-shirt. I have a lot of t-shirts, but I'm just walking by and I saw a poster in which it says that Nike showroom 50% off. Now when I say Nike showroom 50% off, even though, okay, if when I'm in the mall, right, that's what happens, right? When you walk around in the mall, we call it window shopping. Okay, what happens? So we see a interesting poster, or we see an interesting banner, and we be like, okay, there is a 50% off in this Nike store, so let's go and buy. Okay, so you go to this Nike store, and invariably, even though if you did not plan to buy on a t-shirt, you will buy a t-shirt. Okay, because the price had dropped and the demand for that particular product increases when the price drops. So price is closely related to the demand, and it is one of the key determinant of demand. Okay, at the same time, what happens if there is a inverse relation? Okay, not a inverse relation per se. Let us say the price of a product increases. Price of a product increases. Now when the price of the product increases, what happens? The quantity demanded will decrease. Correct. So some answers are coming pretty fast. I really like it, which means that you're totally into the class. Very nice. So, okay, let me just continue. Okay. So there is an inverse relationship between price of the product and quantity demanded. So that goes without saying. So price of the commodity is one of the key determinant of demand. Now, second point that we have to learn, the second determinant is also price. Sir, what is this? First point, you said price, and you explained so much. You said Nike showroom, Adidas showroom. Now again, you're saying second point is also price. There's a difference. Okay. The difference is, now I'm not talking about the price of the commodity. I'm talking about the price of the related commodity. Okay. I'm talking about the price of related commodities. Now the question comes, what are related commodities? Okay, there are two different types of related commodities. I'll explain to you one by one, slowly, no hurry. Okay, we are going to take examples for everything. Don't worry about it. Just sit there and listen to what I'm saying. There are two types of related commodities. Okay, broadly divided. Okay, one is something called as complementary goods. Complementary goods. Second one is competing goods or substitutes. Okay, it's competing goods or substitutes. So these both are related. Okay, these both are related commodities only. Okay, complementary goods as well as competing goods or substitutes are related commodities. Okay, but only difference is In the earlier point, we were talking about the price of the commodity itself. For example, let us say that I am having, let us say chocolates. Okay, I'm talking about chocolates. Earlier, in the first point, when I said when the price increases, demand decreases, I was talking about the price of chocolate itself. So I was talking about price of chocolates with that of quantity demanded of chocolates. Okay. Then I said when the price increases, quantity demanded decreases. When the price decreases, quantity demanded increases. This was the relationship I proved in the first point. Okay. In the second point, I am going to compare the quantity demanded of chocolate itself, but the price is not of chocolates. Price is of whom? Related commodities. Okay, and these related commodities are divided into two. First one is what? Complementary. Then there is competing or substitute. This is the point. So let us go into the first one, complementary. Okay. Now, what do you mean by complementary products? Okay. So let me give you a proper definition of what is complementary product, and then we'll go forward. When I say complementary goods, it means those goods that are bought or consumed together or simultaneously. Okay. Now, let me give you an example. Okay. Let me give an example. You bought a car. I'm not a very good drawing fellow, but let me try what I can do. You bought a car. This is a car, guys. Okay. And then after buying a car, what will you do? Will you push the car around? No. You need to start the engine. In order to start the engine, you need fuel. Okay. Let us say this is a petrol car. Now tell me, can you take the full potential or can you use the car without petrol? Answer is no. Which means if you buy a car, you need to have petrol. Okay. So can I say if you buy a car, you also need to buy petrol? Correct? You also need to buy petrol. Okay. So think about this. Okay. Imagine petrol prices were 80 rupees. Okay. Petrol prices were 80 rupees. And the quantity demanded at that year, let us say this year was 2018. Okay. In 2018, the petrol prices were 80 rupees. And the quantity demanded for cars was, let us say, 20,000 cars in a year. It's a very hypothetical example just to make you understand. Imagine that in 2019, okay, if the petrol prices increase to 100 rupees, my question to you is, will the quantity demanded for cars affected or not affected? How it is affected, I will tell you. But tell me one thing, yes or no? Will it be affected? Yes. Right. So many are giving the right answer. The quantity demanded of cars will definitely be affected. How it will be affected? Very simple. The price of petrol increased, which means if you buy a car now, you'll be spending more money on the petrol. And when you spend more money on the petrol, that will increase your overall cost. Okay. So you will refrain from buying what? The car. Okay. So here what happens? The price of petrol increased. Okay. From 80 it went to what? 100. Okay. Then quantity demanded for cars, let us say it fell down to 18,000. So what happened in case of complementary goods? when the price, okay, and here there is quantity demanded. When the price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and when the price decreases, quantity demanded increases. This is something we have to remember beforehand. Okay, so these are all the things on the basis of which CFA Institute asks questions in level 1. And then what they do? In the learning objectives, they will not mention these things at all. It is assumed that you already know it. What if you don't know? Right? So we don't want to take that chance at all. If you're preparing from scratch, then we'll learn from scratch. Okay, then there is no other way to go about it. Now, when I say price over here, whose price am I talking about? Am I talking about the price of the car? No, I'm talking about the price of petrol. Now, what is petrol? Petrol is a complementary good. So, price of complementary good increases, quantity demanded decreases. Price of complementary goods decreases, quantity demanded increases. You might ask me a question, sir. In the previous discussion also, first point also, you told the same thing. No, you told price increases, quantity demanded decreases. Price decreases, quantity demanded increases. That's all you said. Yes, I agree with you. The normal relationship between price of commodity and quantity demanded of the same commodity, and the price of complementary good and the quantity demanded of our commodity same. Okay, the rule for both is same, but it changes when I go to my next discussion. That is, I discussed this part, complementary part. Okay, I did not go to the next part, that is second type of related commodity, that is competing or substitutes. So let us talk about that. I will talk about what? Competing goods or substitutes. Okay. Now substitute means, what do you mean by substitute? You might have heard about this word many times. If not, you know, uh, in economics perspective, you might have heard it in different other perspectives, such as even games for that matter. Even like group games, there are substitutes. In football, there are substitutes. What do you mean by substitute? Substitute means they're different goods, right? They're definitely different goods. Okay, there's no doubt about it. So what do substitutes do? Okay, so here some people are sending answers. Good. Okay. Now think of it like this. Okay, some goods are different, but they satisfy the same want. Okay, think about this very carefully. Okay, some goods are different, okay, but they satisfy the same want. Okay, give me examples. I wanted to use your mind properly and give me the example. Correct. So Jagdish, you are right. Okay, Maniratnam has told me that tea and coffee is the example for competing goods or substitutes. I take it. Okay. But there could be some coffee lovers which might not agree with you. But I'll agree because they satisfy the same want. The reason for that is, what is the reason that you drink coffee or tea? You drink coffee or tea because you don't want to sleep. You want to feel fresh. You want to wake up. Okay. Okay. So biryani and pulao. Okay, now you are you're slipping into a very argumentative this thing. People might take offense. They might say that okay, biryani, pulao is not biryani. Okay, biryani is different. Okay, they don't satisfy the same want. I don't know. What other things? What other things? Where the goods are different, but they satisfy the same want. Okay, I'll take the example of coffee and tea. Okay, give me more examples. For the most part, if you're not very particular about it, I can say that toothpaste, Do you agree? Toothpaste, there are different brands of toothpaste, but they all satisfy the same want. They keep your teeth clean. Okay. You can say the same about the soap. Okay. The detergent, unless they are highly specialized for certain, type of washing machines, etc. Usually, what happens here is different types of brands are there, different goods are there, but they satisfy the same want. Now, these goods are called as competing goods or substitutes. Now, what happens? I will just take the example as you have given me, the example of coffee and tea. So, I will take coffee and tea only as example, and I will construct a relationship, and I will show you what happens. Imagine that we are in the market. Okay, we are in the market. There is a coffee seller and there is a tea seller. A coffee, let us say, is 200 per kg and tea is, let us say, 150 per kg. Now, at this price, let us say they had their respective quantity demanded, whatever it is, it could be anything. Okay. For the purpose of this analysis, two products need not have been priced the same. For example, toothpaste, Colgate and Close Up, they might not have been priced the same. They have a price and they have their quantity demanded based on that price, which is established as of now. They are supplying, they are giving it to the market. The question comes only when, what happens if the coffee seller increases the price to, let us say, 225, okay, and tea seller kept the price equal to 150 only. Now, in this scenario, what has happened? The price of coffee increased, okay, whereas the price of tea was remaining same. It was remaining equal. Okay. Now I am looking at a situation where I'm analyzing the quantity demanded of tea. I want to know the quantity demanded of tea by looking at the price of coffee. Okay. Correct. So you're right. Tarun has given the right answer. So let me get there. How to get that answer? Okay. So imagine that at the price of 150, I'm talking about tea. At the price of 150, the quantity demanded was, let us say, 10,000 each. Okay. Now the price is remaining same. Okay. But what has happened is the price of coffee increased. Imagine this. Your commodity, that is tea, its price did not change. It is remaining same at 150. Whereas the price of coffee increased from 200 to 225. Now, at this time, what is going to happen to the quantity demanded of tea? Whether it will increase or decrease? Put in the chat box now immediately. Whether it will increase or decrease? I want you to tell me. Everyone. A lot of people. So I need replies immediately. My question is simple. The price of tea did not change at all. Okay, whereas the coffee price increased. Now, what is going to be its effect? All are giving me correct answers. Okay, good. Ashraf, correct answer. Maniratnam, correct answer. Tarun, correct answer. Others, where are others? Okay, we have to make this interactive. Yes. Okay, now, good enough. Okay, delete, right answer. Let us say it increased to 12,000. Why? Because there are so many people who are purchasing coffee. The price of coffee increased. Now, when price of coffee increased, okay, there are some people who might be thinking that it doesn't matter, okay, whether we were drinking coffee or drinking tea, because at the end of the day we are satisfying the same want, isn't it? And the satisfying the same want, what was that want? To not feel sleepy. It doesn't matter whether I drink coffee or tea, because the price of coffee increased from 200 to 225. I don't want to buy it anymore. I want to buy what? Tea, because the price is 150. Okay. So what has happened here? What has happened here? The price of competitive goods has gone up. Okay, so price of competitive goods has gone up, whereas quantity demanded for our product also went up. And if opposite happens, what will happen? What will happen if there is a opposite reaction? Definitely, if the price of competitive goods decreases, quantity demanded for our goods also decreases. Okay, so tell me whether there is a direct relationship or inverse relationship. Whether this is a direct relationship or inverse relationship. I want your answers in the chat box. What kind of relationship? Direct relationship. Ashraf, no. See, when the price and quantity demanded go hand in hand, that is a direct relationship. When it is opposite, it is inverse relationship. Okay. For example, previously we had what? We had when the price increases, quantity decreases. When the price decreases, quantity increases. This relationship is what? Inverse. But when both are unilaterally going in the same direction, it is called as what? It is called as a direct relationship. Now, let me make a flow chart and make it very clear. Okay, for everybody. Correct. Okay. Now I want to make a flow chart, and everybody, if you have a notes, you can take down that notes. Okay, this will help you. Okay. As long as the price as a determinant of demand is concerned, price as a determinant of demand, there are three types of prices. Okay, what are the three types of prices? There is a price of commodity itself. Okay, price of commodity itself. Then there is price of complementary goods. Okay, then there is price of substitute, or I can say competing. Okay, now tell me, in case of price of that goods itself, okay, when in case of price of that commodity itself, when the price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and when price decreases, quantity demanded increases. Do you all agree? Okay, this is the first case that we saw. Second case, complementary goods. What happened? When price increased, quantity demanded decreased, and when price decreased, quantity demanded increased. It's the same thing. Okay, but in the third case, what did we find? When price increases, quantity demanded also increased, whereas price decreased, quantity demanded also decreased. So in case of this, there is a inverse relationship. Okay, in case of this, there is an inverse relationship, and in this case, there is direct relationship. Okay, make a note of this flow chart so that our both points will be like we will have a complete clarity about this. And trust me, in your CFA examination, they do ask. Okay, they just assumed that you already know this. Okay, but you need to know this. So once you copy this, let me know. Then copying in your small notes. I do believe that you need to keep notes. Okay, keeping notes is a very important way in which your revision and your studies will be done more effective. Okay, going ahead, we have learned how many points? We have learned two determinants. First determinant is what? Price of the commodity. Second determinant was price of related commodities. In that we learned two things. That is, one is complementary goods, one is substitute. So let us go forward. Okay, let us learn the next determinant. Okay, third determinant. Third determinant is something called as disposable income of the consumer. When I say disposable income, I mean the income of a person which he can actually spend. For example, you might earn 100 rupees. You might earn 100 rupees. But can you spend the entire 100? Answer is no. Before you could spend, who will come? Government will come. Say that 30 rupees tax. Okay, pay 30 rupees tax. What remained? 70 rupees. Now this 70 rupees is called as a disposable income. In very, very simple way, this is called as disposable income. Now tell me, if at all your income increases from, let us say, 100, it went to 200. Now tell me your quantity demanded, whether it will increase or not. Increase or decreases if your income goes high. Now we are all students, right? Is there anybody working? Already working? The answers are correct. Okay. Okay, you're doing articleship. Okay. Now, okay. So I'll ask you another question. Articleship, you get stipend, no? Okay. So stipend, I'm not going to ask you how much is your stipend, but we all know the stipend is a lesser amount. Okay. Now imagine that, okay, your stipend increases by 10 times. Okay. Will you increase the quantity demanded or no? It definitely will increase the quantity demand, no question about it, right? So at any point of time, at any point of earning that a person has, there is always scope for increasing his income, and then there is a scope for increasing the quantity demanded. Okay, income is directly related with quantity demanded. Okay, when the income increases, what happens? When the income increases, the quantity demanded increases. When income decreases, quantity demanded also decreases. Okay, the nature of relationship between the income and the quantity demanded depends upon only one factor. Okay, that is the nature of goods. Okay, generally, okay, when we say generally, it is direct. Okay, generally it is direct, but it also depends upon the nature of goods. Okay, now what do you mean by nature of goods? Okay, let me explain to you different types of goods in order to understand this better. Okay, now imagine, okay, now clothing. Now when your income is, let us say, 10,000 rupees, okay, and your income is, let us say, 1 lakh rupees. There are two scenarios. Income is 10,000, income is 1 lakh. Now my question to you is, the quantity demanded for clothing was, let us say, 20 clothes in a year. Okay, when your income was 10,000. The quantity demanded for goods could be, okay, 50 when your income reaches 1 lakh rupees. Now, clothing as a product, the nature of the product is that of a normal good. Okay, we call it as what? Normal good. When I say normal good, it means that generally when the income increases, okay, quantity demanded also increases. Okay, that is the relationship between a normal goods and the quantity demanded for normal goods and the price thereof. Okay, so for the income thereof, I'm sorry. So when the income increases, the demand for normal goods also increases. Okay, now there are some goods, okay, which are called as inferior goods. Now I want to talk about that. Okay, generally what happens when the income increases, the normal goods, whatever that I'm consuming, its demand also goes up. Okay, it could be eatables, it could be clothing, it could be furniture, it could be electronic equipment, it could be anything. Okay, which the nature is what? When the income increases, I want more of it, or I want better of that product. For example, you are using an Android phone. Now when your income increases to 1 lakh rupees, you want an iPhone. Okay, now that is normal. Okay, whereas there are some goods such as inferior goods. Now I want to explain what inferior goods are. Okay, there are some goods, okay, which have demand. Okay, Aaron got it. Good. All right. So I will continue here. So inferior goods demand only up to certain level of, okay, demand is only up to certain level of income. After that, there won't be demand. Okay. Now this is very interesting. So let me give you an example to make you understand what is this. Imagine that you are CTC, that's cost to company per year salary of 6 lakh. Okay, which means every year every month you are earning how much? 50,000 rupees. Okay, and you are a person who has a lot of responsibilities. You have to pay your rent, you have to pay for your food, you have to pay for your family, you have to pay for a lot of other things. Okay, when you're doing that, the 50,000 rupees that what you're talking about is nothing. Okay, this is a very less amount to live a very good decent life. Okay, definitely not for a CFA, right? So you need to learn in a higher segment in order to make sure that your demands are met. But imagine that your salary is 6 lakh, and in this particular um, uh, scenario itself, you want to buy a car. Okay, now what are your options? Let us say your monthly savings comes up to 10,000 rupees savings. Tell me, with the 10,000 savings every month, if you have to pay EMI, what car can you buy? At least boys will be knowing that if at all you have 10,000 in excess every month, okay, you can buy Swift Desire. Okay, what other cars? You can buy Sonnet, good option. What other cars? Tell me, keep the class interactive, or else we both will sleep. All right, Tata Nexon. Now, can I safely assume that the cars that you're mentioning are hatchback? Okay, home. But you're gonna buy home? Okay, no. Okay, no issues. So I got, like, cars which are you can say that kind of hatchback cars, or basic level entry level sedans, or I can say compact sedans. Okay, or any that kind of a car which will not cost me more than, let us say, 8-9 lakhs. Okay, on entry level, you wanted this car very badly. Let us say you wanted a Swift. Okay, you wanted very badly. Okay, it's a normal car, correct? It's a budget car, is what we'd like to say. Okay, this is what you wanted. Now imagine everybody. I want you to, think about this. Now imagine you became a CFA. Okay, you cleared CFA, and after clearing CFA, okay, your package, uh, and after working for few years, of course, and pulling the right strings, knowing the right things to do, right, and going for a best company that you could do. Let us say your package becomes 60 lakh per year. Means you're earning 5 lakhs a month, and let us say you're able to save like around 2,50,000. Sounds good. Sounds good, of course, right? So when we say 60 lakh package, it has to sound good because it's a good salary to have. Okay. Now, 2,50,000 you're saving. Now tell me, you always wanted to buy Swift, no? Now at the this thing at the salary of 60 lakh rupees, will you buy Swift? Of course not, right? Who would buy Swift? Who would want Swift at that point? 60 lakh rupees per year, I'm making 2,50,000 every month. I'm saving, and in 4 months I can pay the full off, and I can, like, probably 2-3 months I can pay everything, and I can buy a Swift. But I don't want Swift right now. I don't want it. I want Jaguar, or I'd want BMW. All these BMW cars, and right now they are available at 60-70,000 EMI. They are available. Okay, when I'm having 2,50,000 as savings, there's nothing stopping me from buying a BMW. Okay, I want luxury cars. Now think about this. Okay, you always wanted Swift, but suddenly when your income changed, you don't want Swift anymore. Okay, so can I say safely that your demand for the car Swift was only up to a certain level of income? Can I conclude this? Yes or no in the chat box? your demand for the car Swift was only up to certain level of income. And once you cross that certain level of income, you don't want Swift at all. Okay. Now, these kind of goods are popularly known as inferior goods. Okay. Inferior goods means what? The demand for these goods will be there only up to certain level of income, and once you cross that level of income and you go higher, you don't want these goods anymore. Okay, this is the meaning of inferior goods. Now, going back to your economic objectives, if you see here what they mentioned, one of the learning objective or learning outcome is to know the contrast of normal goods with inferior goods, the difference between them. Now tell me, with our example and with our discussion, are you clear about what are normal goods and what are inferior goods? Yes or no in the chat box. Listen until you give me an assurance I can't go forward. Okay, yes, getting answers. So you see how we are approaching the topic. We will approach the topic from the very basic. Okay, if they say demand elasticity of demand, that this no. We'll first ask what is demand, what are the determinants of demand, what is the law of demand, what is the a function of demand. Then we'll see what is elasticity, what is cross elasticity, what is point elasticity, arc elasticity. We'll learn everything. Okay, but our main focus is not calculation here. As I've told you before, our main focus is application. That is why I'm trying to give you as many examples as possible. Okay, now coming back here, we learned what is uh, you know normal goods and what are inferior goods. Okay, now my question to you is, what about basic essential consumer goods? Okay, um, essential goods, when I say essential goods, I am talking about food grains, I am talking about fuel, cooking oil. Okay, now these many examples you take, these things are essential. Do you agree? Okay, I would also say that internet is essential today, isn't it? Without internet, can you think about an internet detox at this time? Anybody has done internet detox? I don't want to use internet for a month. Is it possible? Probably people would eat less, okay, in this current era, than lose internet. When people forget about, I don't know whether you were there in that era or no, but we were there when we had mobile phones, when 2G networks were very prominent. Okay, and we used to use networks such as Aircell, if you remember, and that used to provide a faster 2G network. And with that 2G network, we were happy. When we could see 20 kbps download, 50 kbps download, we were happy. Yeah, correct. Even to continue with this class today, even to get connected over so many different places, we need internet. So I was arguing the other day when I was taking a seminar on economics. I was saying that the basic economic necessity, when we say food, shelter, clothing, I say no. Food, shelter, clothing is there. Plus fourth basic necessity is internet today. Okay, because without internet, it is not possible for a person to cope up with this era. Okay, unless you are living in a forest where you don't have any other thing to do, just hunt and eat. That is the thing today. Okay, and India moving forward has even introduced for 5G. We have 5G in our major cities right now. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is these essential goods which are there. Okay, these essential goods, whether your income increases or income decreases, will the demand for these essential goods change? I want an answer. You can unmute and answer also for this question, because it's a pretty like what to say, it's a different type of subjective question. So if you choose to unmute and tell me, that is also fine. If you want to type it, that is also fine.
Increases.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
No change.
Okay, it will not change. Arun?
So it will increase, sir. There will be a change, sir.
Okay, there will be a change. Okay. No, we can just increase or decrease, we will discuss. But you can tell me whether it will change or it will not change. Dilip? Yes, he sent an answer. Sometimes yes, if we go for high quality product. Okay. Now, see, generally talking, if we talk about the same product or same commodity, think in the morning, okay, your income is 10,000 rupees. Your income is 10,000. And now your income increases 20,000. Okay. Morning, you are eating 6 idlis. Okay. Now, will you eat 12 idlis? Okay. Generally talking about it, if you talk about the same commodity, same idlis, every day you are going to one hotel and having 6 idlis in the morning for breakfast, just because your income increased to 20,000 rupees, now will not eat 12 idlis. With regard to the same product, it is not possible. But you are eating 6 idlis. Now, what will you do? You will have English breakfast. Okay, you eat only 4. Okay. Now, when you're a student, you gotta eat, because everything that your brain is consuming all of your energy. Okay. Now we'll have what? English breakfast. You see what is happening when I talk about essential goods. Okay, it's a slippery slope. I cannot say that for sure that when my income increases, my quantity demanded for product increases. Depends for which product, because as and when your income increases, as somebody answered in the chat box, who answered that, yeah, right, so Dilip answered it. He said, I would go for higher quality product. I was having lunch in a normal hotel. When my income doubled, I'll go for a better hotel, right? I was ordering for example, we all started using Swiggy, isn't it? Okay, I started using Swiggy, like the moment the Swiggy was launched. Okay, the same day probably, like I started using Swiggy. And the fun part was, at that time when we were ordering, okay, our orders were totally based on the coupon codes, isn't it? Even for some of you it might be true. When you order some things on Swiggy, it is generally what? Coupon codes which drive which restaurant you select. Okay, so here, now for me, okay, for me especially, coupon codes will not drive me. What drives me is the quality of the restaurant. Quality of the restaurant. There could be a combination also of coupon code and quality, etc., etc. But we all know that if the restaurant is pretty famous and well established, etc., coupon codes will not be there. Okay, because they know their brand name will drive the product. Okay, so now we look at quality of the product. Okay, and then we will place an order. Now this change has happened because of my income. Okay. So here we have to understand how essential that goods are. Okay, a change in the consumer's income, although it will cause an increase in demand for these necessities, but this increase will be less than proportionate to the increase in income. That is the point I'm trying to make. Although let us say quantity demanded is here, income is here, and my income is 10,000 and my quantity demanded, let us say food grains in kg, okay, would be 2 kg here. When my income becomes 20,000, I could go for 2.5 kg or I could go for 3 kg. Okay, it's possible, but see the proportion of change. See the proportion of change. Okay, from 10 to 20,000, it's almost 100% change. Okay, whereas from 2 to 3, it is just 50% change. So can I say that there will be less than proportionate change in quantity demanded compared to change in income? Okay, so less than proportionate change. This is less than proportionate change. Now, are we clear about this? I need a yes or no in the chat box. If you're not clear, don't worry about it. Just ask me. I will repeat everything. Okay. Good. Good that you have understood. So normally if the fuel rate decreases, then normally if family is going one time monthly and now they can go 2 times monthly. Correct. So yes, it depends on all, like, even because of the fuel rate change, now, like, all the plans of road trips and everything depending upon that, provided you run on a budget, right? Everybody in their youth are running on budget only. Okay, there's nothing that we can do about it, especially and when we are Indians, right? Our budgeting strength is very strong. Okay, we decide based on, like, which is the most best economical option for us to travel. Okay, so should we go by train or should we go by should we go by car? Should we go driving? All these decisions are depending upon the price of the fuel. Okay, it increases, we'll go by train. If it decreases, we'll go driving. Right? So it all depending upon that. Next. Okay. So these things that we have spoken. Now, what we will do, we will take a quick 15-minute break, and after the break, we'll continue. Do you want break? If you say you don't want a break, I'll continue. Tell me. Okay, one person doesn't want break. Arun, that means class is sitting well. Okay, Maniratnam also doesn't need break. Okay. Okay. Direct messages are coming to me, sir. Break. Okay. So I'll do one thing. I'll take a quick 10-minute break. Okay. So after the break, we'll meet. And please don't go anywhere in 10 minutes. That is, right now the time is 12:22. 12:32, I'll be back. And you guys need to be here. So just reflect upon what we have done until now. I'll come back. I'll continue. Until now, whatever that I've done, have you understood, students? Give me a yes or no in the chat box, please. Until now, whatever that we have done, are you able to understand? Okay, perfect. You're able to understand. So let us go ahead from what we have learned previously. Let us see what next we have to learn. We were learning about the determinants of demand, and under that we learned price of the commodity, price of related commodities. Under that we learned about complementary and substitute. Then we learned about income. Then now, next one we are going to learn is something called as taste and preferences of buyers. Okay, taste and preferences. Now, what do you mean by taste and preferences of buyers? See, there is always a subjective issue. Okay, there might be, like, you can observe it with your own siblings, right? If you have siblings, some things that you like, they don't like. Some flavor of ice cream that you like, they don't like. Okay, or they like and you don't like. Right? Every person has their own taste and their own preference. Okay, some people don't like to travel in train. Some people don't like to travel in flight. Okay, and there are people who don't like to travel in car, don't like to travel in bus. So there is a taste, there is a preference of every person over the demand that they raise on a day-to-day basis. Okay, now in that we have certain discussion we have to make. It is certainly clear that demand depends upon the taste and preferences of buyers, and these taste and preferences are subject to change also. Okay, because some people who are not very for example, I have seen a few people who don't like AC. Okay, air conditioned rooms they can't sustain for long, but then when they joined a job and there is a central AC, they got used to it over time. Okay, so sometimes our taste and preferences do change over time. Okay, now it is always a settled rule that the goods which are more fashionable, okay, goods which are more fashionable, or I can say modern, okay, will have more demand compared to the goods which are old. Okay, when I say old, I'm not talking about antiques. I'm not talking about old sculptures, paintings. I'm not talking about that. That we are discussing separately. Now, when I say fashionable model, let me give an example. There are two TVs. Okay, One is a LCD TV, another is a OLED TV. Okay, which one do you prefer? The LCD or OLED? Tell me. OLED, definitely. Why? Yes, because it provides higher clarity, higher quality. Emitting is better. The picture quality is better. You're right. Okay. So you prefer something which is modern. Okay, no doubt about it, because it gives you higher utility. Okay. A consumer will pursue a product as obsolete, or he will discard that product. Okay, once it is fully utilized, or there is another goods which has come in that place and which gives you, like, for the same price or for a slightly more price, it gives you something which is currently in fashion. Okay. Now, in olden times we used to have black and white TV. Okay. Now you have the technologies which have gone far beyond OLED. Okay. Although in both you can watch TV, you still want something which is of, which is currently in fashion, basically. Okay. Digital devices are one thing, and trendy clothing is also one more. Okay. People usually don't wear, sometimes there is a recall, but usually people don't wear bell bottom jeans. Okay. People have their own style, their trend, which goes on for a, quite a while, unless it is brought back, okay, for some reason. Now, all this discussion that we have had with regard to the taste and preferences of buyers, they are highly subjective. This taste and preferences are highly subjective. Okay, when I say highly subjective, I mean to say that there is no proper definition to this taste and preferences at all. If I like, everybody has their own taste and preference. Okay, and the very interesting part is, even if you have your own taste and preference, that is actually not your own. So what are you saying? You are saying that I have taste and preference. Now, okay, let me talk about myself. Okay, I have taste and preference. Now, whether my taste and preference is mine only, answer is no. What are you talking? Then whose it is? For that discussion, we have to learn something, okay, which I'm going to explain you now. Okay, our tastes and preferences are highly affected by what we see, what others consume. Okay, that is a very important fact over there. Now we call this as external effects. Okay, our tastes and preferences are subject to external effects. Now, what do I mean by external effects? Okay, there are, like, 4 types of external effects that I'm going to, like, show you. Okay, in this flowchart, these external effects I can divide it into 4 types. Okay, first one I will call it as demonstration effect. Okay, first one is what? Demonstration effect. The second one is bandwagon effect. Bandwagon effect. Okay, then there is Veblen effect, and there is knob effect. Okay, in your learning objectives of CFA level 1, these things are not there, but application of these things is there. Okay, so let me quickly tell you what do you mean by demonstration effect. Okay, demonstration effect means, okay, people's desire, okay, to imitate the consumption behavior of others. Okay, it is what? People's desire to imitate the consumption of others. Okay, now I want you to tell me, guys, which cities do you belong to? Just send me in the chat box which all cities. I know that Jeremiah is from Bombay. What about others? Okay, Richie. Okay, which part of Andhra? I know Andhra. I have traveled all across Andhra. I really like Andhra food. Malad, Mumbai. Okay. Super 60. What is your name? Array, try to rename. No, even we have some Redmi. Okay, Redmi is not there right now. rename yourself. Karan. Hi, Karan. So, okay, Vijayawada. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay. So I'll tell you. I'll give you a very youth-like example of what bandwagon effect is. Like you're sitting in a restaurant. Think about it, and the restaurant. No, you're sitting in a pub. Think about it, and the people who are next to your table, they ordered fire shots. We know what fire shots are, right? The bartender comes to your table, he lights up the shot, okay, and with fire he puts in your mouth. Okay, correct. Now that looks very attractive. Okay, now what happens in your friend group? You tell me. Okay, you see that, you want it. Okay, you see the consumption behavior of somebody else. Now you also want it. It happens when you're, for a probably first time when you saw Sizzler also, right? What happens, right? Correct. So there is when you take Sizzler, right? That looks very attractive, smoke coming all out of it. Okay. And when you saw the consumer behavior of somebody else, now you also want it. Now that effect is called as a demonstration effect. And trust me, this is one of the biggest driving factor, okay, of how the demand is created for a particular thing, right? Product. Okay, this works through advertisement as well. Your favorite athlete, your favorite actor, your favorite actress, okay, or any favorite personality for that matter. Okay, you might remember very it a demonstration effect works opposite also. Okay, so when Cristiano Ronaldo kept aside the Pepsi bottle, right, and said that drink water, that's more healthy, what happened to the share value? Okay, Coke bottle, correct. So what happened to the share value? It dropped, correct. So the effect, a particular person's behavior towards a particular product will have a bigger effect on the masses, okay, who follow them. Okay, that is very important thing to know. They lost billions of market capital, correct. That happened, that actually happened, and that was very nice example of bandwagon effect working in reverse for us. Okay, now next let us discuss about the next effect which we are going to discuss. Okay, now the snob effect means the demand for consumer goods is decreased owing to the fact that others also consuming the same thing. Okay, now this is okay. Now before that, I have to tell you what bandwagon effect is. Sorry, I went to the Veblen effect, snob effect. I want to tell you what bandwagon effect is. We know what is demonstration effect. Now, what is bandwagon effect? It refers to uh, extent to which the demand for a commodity is increased due to the fact that others are also consuming the same commodity. Now, when you see that, I see certain people buying, okay, let us say TVs, okay, at their home, which are OLED. Okay, in my neighborhood, everybody purchased OLED TVs. Now, what happens when the people buy OLED TVs? Okay, in your home also discussion starts. Oh, we also want this particular TV. We also want this quality. Okay, at that time, what happens? You are not trying to imitate. Okay, you are not trying to imitate the behavior of others. Other than that, what you're trying to do here is you are trying to increase the demand for the commodity due to the fact that others are consuming it. There's a absolute difference between two, that is demonstration and bandwagon effect. In demonstration effect, what happens? There is a kind of demonstration, that is people are looking at other people consuming and I want to try to imitate it. But that imitation fact is not exactly there in bandwagon effect. In bandwagon effect, what happens? The quantity demanded will increase due to the fact that everybody else is also consuming the same level of products. For example, if everybody in your area, okay, for example, I'll just give you an example. This example could be a little more apt for bandwagon effect. So let me give you that so that you will have clarity. Before bikes, there were something called as Lunas. Luna in village India, there are still people use Lunas. Okay, but suburbs and cities, as of today, they're cleared of these Lunas. They don't have it anymore. Okay, only in village side there. You know why? Not because Lunas are bad. Lunas give great mileage. Okay, they don't have much of safety options. That is true, but they don't have much speed, much pull. It doesn't have it. Okay, yes, it is Excel now. Correct. I know. So what happens here is, because everybody around you have gone past that Luna stage and they've gone to scooter or they've gone to bike, now you also want to go there. Okay, so the mass behavior changes. Now that is where bandwagon happens. Okay, so you can say that this is a mass behavior change. Okay, not because you saw 1 or 2% do it and you want to imitate their behavior. It is because mass behavior, the market behavior changes, and because of that you want to change it. That is called as bandwagon effect. And then there is Veblen effect. Now let us learn what Veblen effect is. Veblen effect is nothing but the highly priced goods, highly priced goods, okay, highly priced goods which are consumed by rich people. Now this is also called as conspicuous consumption. Okay, conspicuous consumption. Example, okay? Forget about cars such as Lamborghini, such as, there are some people who would like to buy antique cars. Okay, such as somebody wants to buy a Chevy 68, 69. Okay, now that car will cost you in crores, probably more than some of the supercars that you come across generally. Okay, some people have that taste. They want that highly priced goods. Rich people to you know differentiate themselves. So basically, they find some kind of utility in buying that. Some people buy painting for millions of dollars. Okay, now why? Because these highly priced goods, okay, become a part of conspicuous consumption of very rich people. Now this American economist called as the Thorstein Veblen came up with this theory of Veblen effect, which is true. Okay, especially in the developed countries and all, it is very true, where people want some kind of differentiating factor. They want expensive cars, expensive jewels, expensive paintings, expensive houses, right? Expensive areas. Like they want some kind of a utility out of those highly priced goods. Now that is called as conspicuous consumption. Then we have something called as snob effect. Now what is snob effect? Now this is very interesting. Snob effect means a demand for a consumer goods is decreased owing to the fact that others also consuming the same commodity. Now this is very funny. Okay, so I'll tell you, there are two households in Indian context. One household buys a new bike. Okay, the other household with next to it, they say that no, now he also has a bike, I want a better bike, so you go get a better bike. Now the first house will see he has a better bike, now I better buy a car. Okay, now the other house says he has a car, I need a better car. Okay, and this is a never ending ladder in which people like to climb. That is, some consumer goods, if it becomes very common, okay, there are some people who don't want it. They don't want to be in the same level. Okay, now look at what is happening with you. Okay, now how many of you are already doing chartered accountancy? Tell me. Just put in chat box yes or no. How many are doing chartered accountancy? Okay, Jagdish is doing CA. Yes. Then who else? Okay, Jeremiah is also doing. Then who else? Are you guys Ashraf? Are you doing CA? Arun? Dilip? Are you doing CA? Tell me. Okay, Dilip is not. Okay, that's absolutely fine. But I want to talk about the people who are already doing CA. Now tell me. Okay, so there is Jeremiah, there is Ashraf, and there is Jagdish also is there. So you guys tell me why you are doing. Okay, you are Karan is in the 12th. Very good. Okay, so you have a lot of time to decide. Okay, what all the courses you want to do together, right? So okay, now I want answer from Jagdish, I want answer from Ashraf, I want answer from Jeremiah as to why you're doing CFA with CA. Tell me. Then I'll tell you what snob effect is. Why you're doing? You can unmute and answer. You're comfortable. My question is I couldn't hear you, Jagdish. Okay. Okay, that's no problem. Want more international scope. Okay. Now, I'll tell you one more simple fact. Okay. What happens is, okay. So with people who are ambitious, okay, yeah, exactly. So there is this one factor, okay, which affects us all, that when we are in the company of all chartered accountants, okay, every person has this desire to be distinct, to be different, okay, to do something which others are not doing, okay. Or if a certain course or certain degree becomes common among all people, I don't want that commonality. I don't want to follow the common herd. I want to do something extra. I want to do something more. Now that is exactly what the crux of snob effect is. Okay, so that is where in economics also it is very closely related to human behavior, isn't it? So what happens in snow effect is that the demand for certain goods or service or certain desire decreases owing to the fact that others are also doing the same thing. Okay, so the desire of the people to be exclusive, okay, to be different, to dissolute themselves from common herd. Okay, so whatever becomes more common, people start hating it. Okay, earlier you might have seen there were landlines. Having landline phones at your home was a big deal. Okay, then what happened? Everybody started having landline. Then people are like, landline is not enough. At the time of landline, I remember my parents saying that what other thing can come, what other technology can come and replace this. We have such a good like convenience, like we can just pick up the phone, like dial some numbers and we can call anybody, right? Such a nice technology. But what happened? It became common. The moment it became common, what happened? Technology had to get advanced. People wanted. Then came cordless phones. That also became common. Then came mobile phones. That also became common. Then like color phones common, camera phones common, smartphones common. Then you go and go ahead and create your own, distinct it on the basis of operating system, distinct it on the basis of functionality. Make iPhones, make it costlier, make it 1.5 lakh. Now phones are available from the range of what, 3-4 thousand to lakhs. Why did it happen? Because constantly, once the product becomes common, it cannot stay the same in the market unless and until there is nothing that you can consume. Okay, for example, medicines. Medicines are well researched. Okay, and if everybody gets diabetes, okay, hypothetically saying, if everybody gets diabetes, the medicine that is given for diabetes is mostly same. Just because the tablets are becoming same, it doesn't mean that I want more tablets or I want different tablets. You won't start that, correct? No. So it depends upon which product we are talking about also. In snob effect, we are talking about that consumer goods or those services which if becomes common, people will decrease the quantity demanded. Okay, people want something else. That is called a snob effect. Now, I want you to tell me whether snob effect and Veblen effect are same. Okay, whether snob effect and Veblen effect is same. No. If they're different, how they're different? If they're different, how they're different? I'll give you 30-40 seconds to respond to me. Try to type down something. Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you. In Veblen effect, what happens is, in Veblen effect, okay, the determining factor, okay, in Veblen effect was only the price. Okay, I don't care whether that product is going to give me utility or not, to be honest. Okay, because rich people want to buy rich things, which are exclusive things. They want to buy it. So it is decided only on the basis of price. Whereas in snob effect, it's not only price. Price could be one factor. Okay, but majorly it is what others are consuming. Okay, it's okay if Bill Gates has a thing which is even bought by Elon Musk and it is also bought by Adani, he'll be okay. Okay, other rich people also have it, but it's okay. Only rich people will have it. Veblen effect will work. But snob effect is not like that. Snob effect is like everybody has it means I don't want it. That is snob effect. So what is the driving force of Veblen effect? Veblen effect, the driving factor is price, whereas snob effect, the driving factor is what? What others are using. Did you understand that fact? Yes or no in the chat box? Yes or no in the chat box quickly? Yes? Good? Good. Perfect. Okay. So we have learned a lot of things now. We learned, uh, what is the demonstration effect, what is bandwagon effect, what is Veblen effect, what is knob effect. We learned all of that. Okay. Now I told you how you are also a part of snob effect if you're doing CA with CFA. Okay, the kind of snob effect. Now, so let me go forward from there. Okay, I'd like to this the last point we'll be discussing for today. After that, today's class will be concluded. Then we'll be continuing in the next class. So after this factors which are external factors under the head of what did we learn under the head of taste and preferences of buyers. Okay, and under that we learned external effects. Under that we learned 4 different things without looking at the board: demonstration effect, bandwagon effect, Veblen effect, and stomp effect. We learned that. Okay, now let us go forward and learn something called as other factors. Okay, other factors. Now no. Before other factors, we also have to learn one more point. Okay, that is called as consumer expectations. Okay, consumer expectations also has a very big effect on the quantity demanded. By the way, okay, imagine now you know that next month the price of rice and wheat is going to double. You're expecting it to double. What will you do today? You will raise the demand, isn't it? So in the future, if the price is going to rise, you are going to increase the demand today when the price is cheap. Okay. At the same time, opposite. Whenever in the future the price is going to drop, you will postpone. You will postpone your purchase until then. Okay. That is called as consumer expectation. Consumer can expect that price will go higher or price will go lower in the future. In future. Okay. And based on that, quantity demanded today will be decided. Quantity demanded today will be decided. If in the future price is going to go up, today quantity demanded will go up. If in the future price is going to go down, today quantity demanded will go down. Okay. Next, let us learn the other factors. Other factors such as what? Simple. Size of population. Okay, imagine that you put up a ice cream parlor. Okay, in a locality where mostly retired people stay. Okay, when you put up ice cream parlor, you have to look at a locality where a lot of children's, lot of schools are. Okay, a lot of schools, lot of colleges, lot of children who are roaming around, who are usually adults. Okay, you have to put it in that segment. What happens if you put in an area which is dominated by senior citizens? Okay, they will not entertain that very much. Okay, they will come, but not as much as children. Okay, so the size of the population wherever that you're putting up your business is also very important factor. How much quantity demanded you will have, isn't it? Yes or no? Of course, the size of the population will have an effect on the quantity demanded for those products. Okay, then we have age distribution. As I explained, age distribution, that is also very important. What young people want, the old people do not want. What old people want, young people do not want. There's only a little of convergence which is there between these quantity demanded. Okay, so age distribution is also very important. Then we have other factors such as the level of national income. Now, national income is a macro chapter, that is how country performing. Now tell me whether the performance of the country is related to quantity demanded or not. I want yes or no answer in the chat box. Whether the performance of the country, does it have its effect? Yes, of course it has its effect, because your citizens could be well motivated, but if your country is under recession, you will not have money. Okay, you won't be able to raise the demand. Okay, that is for sure. Yes, example is Sri Lanka. Correct. Dilip has given a right answer. Okay, if your country is under recession, your motivation doesn't matter. Okay, the country is performing badly means everybody will perform badly. It's all as straight as that. Then there is something called as consumer credit facility. Consumer credit facility. I'd like to give you an example of consumer credit facility. When Lal Bahadur Shastri was our prime minister, it's probably one of the best prime ministers that we have had. Lal Bahadur Shastri was a prime minister. He bought a car. At that time you used to get this car called as the Padmini. Okay, it was kind of looking like a ambassador, but it was not. He had to buy it, and sadly, it was before he could repay the loan. He bought it on loan actually, and he was paying EMI. And before he could pay the EMIs, all the EMIs, he expired. Okay, and his wife paid off the entire loan. Okay, with the pension that she was receiving because of the post which was held by her husband, that is Lal Bahadur Shastri. Now you will be amazed to know that the bank which gave the loan at that time was Punjab National Bank to Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. They gave the loan, and that was Punjab National Bank. And interesting fact is, when Lal Bahadur Shastri ji got the loan, he gave a couple of statements. Okay, so the statements which he gave was that every citizen of this country should have the same level of access, okay, to credit facilities which he was subjected to, he was given to. Yes, it was asked to be waived, but the integrity of the person is much higher than what people that we are experiencing today. The integrity held by those people was unbeatable, and wife refused it, and she paid it off. Okay, and then we know what happened to Punjab National Bank and how many scams they were involved on the later past. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, Lal Bahadur Shastri did say that such credit facilities are given. Fast forward today. Now tell me, is credit facilities difficult to get in today's world? In India, is credit is difficult? Absolutely not. Now, when I say that, I am talking about my own self. Every day I will get at least 15 to 20 calls asking whether I need personal loan, asking whether I need a credit card. It is pre-approved. I don't have to do anything. I just have to give my PAN, I have to give my Aadhaar, and probably I have to sign 2 documents. That's all. And I will get my credit card. Okay. Now, why is it? The credit facilities are being pushed, and that will affect your consumer behavior. Okay. Whenever you have cards, okay, which offer you no cost EMI, what happens? You tell me. Usually people don't go for EMI. Why? Because there is interest portion involved. Now they say that interest is completely waived. Now that's another big area of discussion. I don't want to go into there now. What I'm trying to say is, yes, credit cards, they are personal loans. They are increasing the demand that is being raised by the customers. Okay, continuously increasing it, and this will definitely have an effect on my. It will have effect on my what? The quantity demanded for particular products. Okay, then there is other factors such as government regulations. Okay, now what do you mean by government regulations? Okay, it could be any policies of the government. Okay, government could subsidize a particular product. For example, government subsidy is there in terms of newspapers. Are you aware of this? When you get newspapers for 5 rupees, 6 rupees, do you think their cost is only 5 rupees, 6 rupees? Answer is no. Newspapers usually run on losses. Okay, and there are very less newspapers which make profit because of their other publications and all that. But usually newspapers are highly subsidized by government, owing to the fact that newspapers is the biggest medium of spreading news. You can talk a lot about how much internet penetration, how much digital news has gone past, but still even today, most of India, for the purpose of news, is still depending on newspapers, and government knows it and they subsidize it. Okay, so the demand for newspapers, if they make it 10-15 rupees, it will fall down quite fast. Okay, so in order to break that chain, right, what do we have? We have subsidies which are given by government, which are government policy and regulations. Then we have other in some states, even in some countries, there are total bans on certain goods. Okay, There are total restrictions on certain goods such as alcohol, cigarettes and tobacco products, etc. There are restrictions, and there are higher taxes, very high taxes on products which are socially considered bad. Now, all these factors also are included. You could be highly abundant. Let us say you have a lot of tobacco farm, but tomorrow if government comes up and says that tobacco are taxed at double rate because people are dying, there's nothing that you can do. Even though there is demand, on the other side there is demand at a particular price, you have enough tobacco to supply, but you can't because government came in and said 100% tax, right? So government also plays very important role in the quantity demanded of products. So that is with regard to all the determinants of demand. These are all the determinants. So what and all did we study in determinants of demand? Can we just do a small recap? What and all we studied? First we learned what is demand. Then we learned about what are the three ingredients of making a demand in economics. That is, first one is you need to have a desire, you need to have ability or resource, you need to have willingness to use that resource. Okay, that constitutes demand. And what determines demand? First, there was price. Price was divided into two different things. Remember, everything should be mapping in your head when I'm saying this. Okay, price was divided into two: price of the commodity and price of related commodity. Price of related commodity was further divided into two: price of price of complementary goods, price of substitutes. Okay, there was inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded of the same commodity, price and quantity demanded of complementary goods, whereas there was a direct relationship between price of substitute and that of quantity demanded of our goods. Okay, you remember that one as well. Okay, then we went ahead and we learnt about income, disposable income. When the income increases, demand increases, but it depends upon what kind of goods they are. We learnt about what do you mean by normal goods. We learnt about what do you mean by inferior goods with the example. Then we learnt about how customer will behave in terms of essential consumer goods. Okay, then we learnt about the taste and preferences of buyers. In the taste and preferences, we learnt about the external effects such as bandwagon effect, demonstration effect, Veblen effect and snob effect. We learnt about it. Then we learnt about consumer expectations. Then we learnt about the other factors such as size of population. We learnt about the age of the population. Then we learnt about consumer credit facility. Then we learnt about government policies. I'm missing one thing. Okay, the level of national income. We learnt all those things. Okay, so good learning session. I hope that you have grasped what I was trying to say. Did you understand today's class? Did you like today's class? Please let me know in the chat box. Your feedback is very important for me. If I have to go slow, I'll go slow. If I have to go fast, I'll go fast. If you like the current speed, let me know. What are your views? I'll be waiting in the chat box. Okay, you have understood. Excellent. What about others? Very nice. You can be rest assured that we will be covering each and everything that is relevant for you for CFA level 1. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. We will train you. We will make sure that you are completely prepared when you go for your examination. Okay, so do not worry. All you have to do is take notes when I'm teaching something. Okay, we will provide you also if that requires notes, that particular segment. You don't have to worry about it. And then we'll be going through questions also on a later stage. So today's class, I will conclude it over here. I thank you for your feedback and thank you for being interactive, sending replies to me on time. And yes, so if you have any questions, you can ask. Yes, so Tarun, go ahead. You can type it down, no issues. So guys, the session for today is ended. If you guys would like to hang around and ask a few questions, you can do that, or you can leave the class. Okay, that's a very interesting question. Now, why economics is needed in CFA? So I will take you through an example and try to tell you why this is important. Okay, now there is something called as an encompassing topic. Okay, now when I say encompassing topic, okay, we all know who discovered gravity. Who discovered gravity? You don't need to be a science student to answer that question, right? Newton. Okay. Now, based on Newton's discovery, okay, correct. So that is a story under apple tree and all that. Okay, but Newton did discover. That is what science literature tells us. Okay, and based on that, discovery, there are so many things which are built upon that. So many scientific advancements. So many theories. So many expeditions to outer space have been done based on the study of gravity. And if it was not discovered at that time, we wouldn't have been this advanced today. Okay, so in science we call it as an encompassing topic, that is which covers, okay, which acts as a base on which certain topics are built. Okay, and for commerce I would call it economics. Okay, economics is the topic on which you in CFA are concentrating on a particular topic called as financial management. To be very precise, investment management or investment decisions, you are going into that segment. Okay, now that segment also works on the same principles that economics teaches, such as demand, supply, production, cost, okay, markets, okay, business cycles, aggregate income, aggregate expenses, national income, right? Monetary policies, fiscal policies. Now, these are all the things which highly affect your growth in markets. Okay. So, in order to know the actual macro reasons under because of which there will be changes in the capital markets, okay, you need to know the basics which built those topics. Now that is why you learn economics. Okay, without economics you will not be able to do a realistic analysis of any growth oriented commerce topic. It is not possible. Okay, so you have to know. That is why basically what you have to know more is macroeconomics. What you have to know less is microeconomics. Although you have to know less of microeconomics, it is still taught. Okay, so that when you become CFAs, you will be able to give a all-round view of how you are going to approach a particular topic. Okay, so that is why economics is taught, and that is why economics becomes very important, okay, in your studies. I hope I have answered that question, Tarun. Yes, great. So that will conclude today's class. If you have any doubts, write them down. Okay, you can send it to me, or you can ask in the tomorrow's session. I hope to see all of you tomorrow. Probably tomorrow is a Sunday, and you'll be able to come on camera tomorrow, all of you, so that we can have more interactive sessions. It's actually I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is when I don't look at faces, right? There's always this issue of I don't know what kind of expression that is coming from the other side, because I have been teaching from last almost 10 years now, and very less part of it was not in person. Most of it was in person, and we have developed this skill of reading people's faces, especially students. So that is missing. When we start that, probably it will be even more interactive. If it is possible, please do. Okay.